I don't think people mean to be unkind, but they'd say, "Oh, were you related to that Ben Pascal that was killed out at Norske? And I go, "Yes, I was his mother." Ben was the light of our life. He was our only son, and through workplace negligence, he was taken from us. He was someone who understood at a very early age that success came with hard work. And, that was basically introduced to him, born through sport, that he knew that if he worked hard at something, that he could succeed. And he always used to say to me, make sure you go out and live life to the fullest, Mum, because you've got more years behind you than you've got in front of you. He had a good head on his shoulders. The mill supported community. It gave money to schools and sporting clubs. It was probably one of the biggest employers in the district, if not the biggest. Ben was a stock proportioning officer, so he was involved in working with the machines. Like all young men, the lure of a good wage and what he thought at the time was a safe environment, it was about that sort of job will help me get ahead in life. I was walking up the street and my phone rang. Ben had collapsed at work. They'd told us that he was being taken to the Albury Base Hospital. And of course, when we got to the hospital, they ushered us into a small room. And so then we knew in our hearts, even though you never want to admit it, that it was going to be much bigger than what we thought. It was a nurse and a doctor. And they just looked at us and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we have to tell you the young man's passed away." And of course, well, our world crumbled then. 4 days before we got any contact from the mill. So it was 4 days of not knowing what killed your son. It was a maintenance shut. There's a tank that they called the white water tank, and that was the tank that had had a couple of leaks inside of it that had been repaired. And prior to this maintenance shut, they had opened up some valves on the top of the tank. Now, there was very little space between the top of the tank and the ceiling. It should have been a designated confined space, but it had never been. And so during that maintenance shut, they hadn't kept feeding biocides into the tank itself. So when the tank filled with water, the hydrogen sulphide rose to the top and escaped out through those valves. One of the guys had said, "Do you know if the valves are shut?" And he said, "Well, I think they are, and he said, "Oh, we better go and check." And it's when they noticed that there was actually water coming down the side of the tank. So Ben's supervisor asked him, would he go on top of the tank and have a look and see what had happened. And subsequently, Ben's got up there and the hydrogen sulphides overcome him. We just didn't know how to navigate something like this, and as a society, I don't believe we know how to navigate grief terribly well. I didn't know where to seek help. And, that's been one of my primary motivators for what we're doing today. Well, the Family Injured Workers Support and Advisory Group has helped me for lots of reasons. It's nice to feel that you have the ears of people that are able to bring about the change. It's also afforded me the opportunity to spend and bond with people that have had similar traumas. I mean, there's a real difference in the words sympathy and empathy. And to be in a room with people that have that empathy, it's like being in the strongest palace you could ever be. It's amazing. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has had a different tragedy. But nonetheless, that one common thread exists that ties us all together, and that's that bond through empathy.